the biggest station in the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuning into the very best. It's yours truly, Jazzy Fizzle, Fizzle, Fizzle. And this is Instinct Radio, man. Tune in, baby. Oh, boy.
That's all we're going to do.
All right, good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, March 26, 2018, 7 p.m. in the ATL. This is your boy, Kevin Thornton, and you are tuned in to the Wellness Architect Show. I told you from the beginning that in 2018, I was going to explain the platform of wellness, not just the mind, body, and spirit, and also financial, but also of the community. Because if the wellness of the community is not right, then all the other parts of us is not going to be right as well. So I got two amazing guests today as we getting ready to have elections in the next couple of months, and here in Atlanta and in Georgia. So we have a state senator, someone who's running for state senator. Well, I'm gonna claim I'm a state senator, and got another one who's gonna be one of our next school board members. And then also my brother from another mother over here, Mr. Laris Hodges. He's gonna be here to help me out. So before we get started with everything, as I've been working, everybody has been so empowered and motivated by the movie Black Panther. So it starts a lot of conversations, older and also younger conversations about what can we do to do better and be better. And one thing that this man said when he was on my show before is that in order for us to have a valuable part, we gotta be able to play. If we don't play, we can't be complaining about what they don't do for us. And so if there's documentation that we're not voting, they're not going to consider our needs as being relevant because we're showing them that we don't really care because we don't vote in the process. So when people come to me saying, can we have these people on the show, I had to do it because it's part of what I'm trying to do and span this year. And also part of the empowerment of our community is to educate, inspiring people to be best. And so this is part of the reason I'm going to do this today too. So first, I want to introduce my man right here, Laris Hodges. How you doing, sir?
I'm great, man. How are you, Kevin?
I'm excellent. So tell everybody the name of your show and everything else.
Sure. The name of my show is Beer and a Conversation. It airs, I believe that's Tuesday, tomorrow. 6 to 8 here at Instinct Radio. Great show tomorrow. We'll probably be talking about a couple different things, a smorgasbord of things.
Okay.
Donald Trump made the comment that some drug dealers should be given the death penalty.
Right.
It's a bit of an irony there that a lot of the people who are for the death penalty are also against abortion. We'll wait till tomorrow to get into that.
Okay.
But but this is how these people are. We should know this. So, and then also the march about the gun violence and stuff like that, and whether that was a good demonstration, will it work? And then also South Africa, the South African president taking land back from white Europeans down there. So we're going to have a great show tomorrow. You guys are already invited to come unless you say something that just really offends me. Funny.
And so one of the things,
that guy on my show.
and so one of the things too that I want to talk to you and also Regina about is the three of us get together. Maybe is it my show, your show, or her show, one of the shows, and do a town hall meeting and invite these all them back and other people back. So we could use our platforms to really push it forward and stuff like that. So I know what you bring to the table. I know what she brings. She's a heavyweight. You know, I know what I'm going to do and bring them all back. I already know he's game for it. I know she'll be ready to come back again. And I know some more who wants to come. So we're going to make it happen. So I got to talk to you about that as well. So first, ladies first, introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and how you get to this point right here.
Okay. My name is Monique Rivard, and I'm running for the Douglas County School Systems School Board for District 3. I currently work at Factory Shows Middle School. I'm a paraprofessional in the special education department. I've been there for 3 years now. Since 2014, I was a substitute teacher. I was a long-term sub in the career course. So I learned a lot from our children in that area. But before that, I worked for Georgia Pacific. We just moved here from California. When I say we, it's my family, my son, my daughter, and myself. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and it got a little rough. You know, my son was 15 at the time, so it was getting a little rough for Bobby. So I was like, okay, well, let's move to Georgia where, you know, the school buses picked him up at the subdivision. He didn't really have to take public transportation. It was just a win-win. It was family-oriented. It was not, you know, very crowded like Los Angeles. So, you know, we made the move in July of 2008. November 7, 2010, my son was murdered.
Wow.
He was 18. Bobby just graduated from high school, and he went to a high school house party. He was chosen randomly, and he was beat to death. And so ever since then,
I think I heard about that.
yeah, his name is Bobby Tillman. And ever since then, I've been speaking in the community. I started out with speaking against bullying, anti-bullying, but I told myself, you know, that's the problem. What's the solution?
Right.
That's what we need to focus on. Everybody know what the problem is. So I started speaking on self-worth, self-value, self-love, because the 4 boys that beat my son to death, they had no self-value, so how could they value Bobby's life?
Right.
You know, one of them had a full ride in football to Alabama State. He came home just for the weekend and made one bad choice. And now he's in prison for the rest of his life. He won't leave prison until he's in a casket. So 5 of our young brothers lost their life that night, but 4 had a choice. And so I speak about choices. I speak about self-love, about consequences, about holding yourself accountable as opposed to responsible. Holding yourself accountable is proactive. Holding yourself responsible is reactive.
Right.
So we need to teach our children to be proactive, to say, look, if I do this, this what can happen to me, and I'll be responsible for this, so I'm not going to do it. You know, then I started working in the school system, and I just saw a lot that our children need, and I think Douglas County is a wonderful county. I think the staff that I work with at Factory Shows are wonderful, beautiful family, and we all love the children. I just want to help make the Douglas County school system, the school board, the best it can be. I just want to aid the superintendent, aid the other school board members, so that we can just give our children the best that they deserve in education.
Okay, so what is your intention or your platform for what you try to achieve as a school board member?
Well, my first thing is safety. You know, there's a lot that has been going on, and I remember Columbine, you know, with the shooting there. That was in 1999. You know, I was in my 20s. So that was very fresh in my mind. It was 13 casualties or 13 victims then. And it's been on, and I know when my son left the house that night when he went to that party, I wanted him to come home. My last words to my son was, be safe.
Right.
So that's the first thing before parents, even before everything, they want their child to come home. They want, when they leave and say we're going to school, they want to know that they're going to come back. You know, so I want to bring more SRO officers into the school. I want to bring more monitors onto the buses. There's one bus driver with 50 kids, you know, so we need more monitors on the bus. But most importantly, I want to bring self-awareness classes to our seniors and more options in the career centers. I think a life coach can come in because our kids are making career choices, but what about life choices? I know. I mean, and I was telling the kids when I taught career, like, you can want to be a doctor or a lawyer, but what about life choices? That boy that had that full ride to in football, he could have been in the NFL right now. He made one wrong life choice. He had the career in mind, just not the right choices.
Right.
You know, so we need to help them with that. We need to fully equip them. So when they leave high school, the only person that can stop their education and their success is themselves. I think we need to highlight more than four-year universities. I think
agree.
that, you know, my son, he didn't do well with the ACT and SAT. He felt like a failure. He wasn't good with time tests. He was like, Mom, what am I going to do now? You know, we need to know about other options. What about plumbers? What about garbage men? What about construction? There's so many different other career options that don't require the 4 year. Entrepreneur, absolutely. You know, and all of these need to be highlighted. Everything needs to be highlighted, not just the 4 year, not just, then the child won't feel like, okay, if I don't do this, then what? Because an idle mind gets into trouble. And when we give a child responsibility, believe me, we give them purpose. And I think if a lot of our children had purpose, it would dwindle down just a little bit on what they're deciding or what the choices that they're making, the wrong choices.
Good. So we got...
Brother, you don't want to come behind that. Woo! Okay.
I stay quiet there.
No. But I'll say this. You're already invited to the show, and just because,
Thank you.
just because you're that good, he has to come to you. You did enough for both of y'all. This is gonna be a great show.
Yeah.
Well, I want to start out by telling y'all, Kevin and Mr. Hodges, Instinct Radio, I appreciate y'all for having me back on. Then, if you don't mind, let me pay a couple bills because my mama gonna beat me up.
No problem.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Milan. Hi, Brittany. Hi, Micaiah. And the rest of my family out there watching, make sure y'all tune in, even when I ain't on here. So y'all make sure y'all tune in. But my name is Mike Glanton Jr., and I'm running for the Georgia State Senate. And part of the reason why I'm running for the Senate is for reasons like what Ms. Monique mentioned, and how we need to merge the business sector and the education sector, and we need to start taking care of some of these kids that aren't going to go to 4-year or 2-year schools, but they want to go directly into careers. I mean, I'm a firm believer in thinking we should get them early when they're more impressionable, when they're more directional. We can, when they get to 10th grade and 11th grade, these days they already making decisions like they already going this way or that way. But if we start with them young, we start rearing them up, then we start going back to that root to where we can have a little bit more control and trying to make sure that we're guiding them to success. Also, to the mic. Yeah, I'm motivated when about doing this when I talk to grandparents who can't retire because they're paying an education tax and they're also paying $1,000 a month for private school because their grandkids who they have custody of, they feel like that the school that they're going to is not functioning right. So they have to take other options, but they care enough about their kids' education that they're going to continue to work, even though they should have retired already. They could have retired, but they're still, but the key component is they're paying the education tax, meaning they're already paying into the education system. So why are you going to have to take an alternative method to trying to educate your kids when you're already paying into a system? So we must fix things like that to where we're making our schools adequate enough to where they're representing these communities and we're putting out good product. I'm also motivated to do this when I talk to residents who tell me that, specifically a young lady in South Fulton who was like, she's torn between, her and her husband are torn between transporting their kids to another school out of the district, out of the area, or just simply relocating. When we lose quality residents that care about their community and that care enough about their kids' education to go to extreme, then we're doing something wrong. So we must start putting in recipes that are putting our community first, and we're putting our residents first, and we're letting them know we take care of them. Economic development. In parts of my district, very rural. City of South Fulton, which today, congratulations, because we swore in our new police force. So now the police force and the fire department are online, and we're a very rural area. So when you're talking about infrastructure, we're going to be the pinnacle of development right now. And so I think that we must be at the forefront in that in terms of community to make it look like us, to make it work for us, instead of people preying in on the community and saying, hey, let's go build over here because it's available, but not thinking about the community in mind. See, now a lot of our dollars go other places. We need to keep our dollars back in our community. So as a state senator, I'm going to work for funding. I'm going to work for projects and programs that we can implement into our community that directly affect the growth and the economic stimulus of our community. When you talk about education, you can't think about economic development without education, because education is a stimulus to everything. When you're looking at relocate, when you look at Trula or Zilla, you're looking at schools. And when you're looking at schools, if the schools are bad, then people are going to say, nah, I'm going to go over here. No, we have an attractive base of people that live in our communities. In District 35 alone, it covers Douglasville, Union City, Palmetto, Fairburn, City of South Fulton, Lithia Springs. These are sprawling areas that have so much talent with the young people and have so much talent with the people that care about their community that we must start putting back into that. So as a state senator, you can guarantee that I'm going to be a champion for those type of things, and I'm not going to only fight for District 35, but I'm going to fight for the entire state of Georgia, because we provide that visual. When I walk in the room as a state senator, even as a candidate right now, young men and young women are inspired immediately. They're like, oh wow, you can do that. You don't have gray hair, but at least I'm not gonna tell you where they went to, but they say, well, you're not old, and they're inspired by me being a young man, and it's every day. It's a surreal feeling for me because I'm still like, okay, we're out here, but because there is such a shortage of us standing up, now we're gonna stand up, and now these talented young men and young women that really want to be doing something, they're gonna be motivated just by seeing us stand out in the gap of leadership and provide that opportunity. I told somebody today, I'm just a door opener. If I can be the person at the door opening that door, then I did what I was supposed to do.
I like it.
Okay, he's invited tomorrow.
I follow well then, right?
Yeah, I think, Kevin, whatever you want to do, I'm ready to do it.
You go first. I know you're ready.
You did a good job. You always do.
Appreciate you, dude.
All right, a couple different things. One, I think you're brave.
Thank you.
I admire your strength.
Thank you.
I really do. Okay? It's the first thing. Secondly, I admire what you're doing too. I think both are necessary. Now, this is you're political candidates. I'll start there.
Mm-hmm.
We have a problem in our community. Mm-hmm. All right? It's an inverse God, Victorian, antiquated, plantation-style leadership model that's transmigrated in our minds. We begin to take on the character traits of our oppressor. Mm-hmm. And we need to be very clear about this, and I say that to say most of our people, when it comes to voting, think on a federal level, mm-hmm. when it should be the opposite. Mm-hmm. It should be state and local. There's too much bureaucratic red tape to where even if you get a Barack Obama or somebody who is not influenced by PACs or by lobbyists or by campaign donations, mm-hmm. if you exclude that, the bureaucratic red tape of the dual federalism, rights reserved to states versus federal, the Senate, the bicameral legislature, the Supreme Court, and all of that, if they wanted to do good, it would take so long for it to get down here mm-hmm. anyway in the first place. So I think that you're doing things the right way. We have to go state and local. We really need our own republic. We really need our own reservations, to be quite honest. You know what I'm saying? We need to police our own societies. Mm-hmm. We need to have our own tribunals. We would be better suited. And the honest to God truth is that we can live without them. It's them that can't live without us. And so once you figure that out, you've figured out most of it, really. And that's been that way since the inception of the country. Now, with regard to what you're doing in the school system, I applaud it. And just having the boldness, and likewise you. I said that President Obama did more by merely being elected than any legislation he could have enacted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it is the imagery of hope.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It is and so I think you led by saying Black Panther. Mm-hmm. That's where you started. Mm-hmm. And so to me, have you seen Black Panther?
Yes.
Have Absolutely. You seen? One of the most powerful scenes in that movie was when he went to his father in the afterlife, and he said, "You didn't do things the right way." Mm-hmm. It's bold. It's changing of the guard. It's saying that we need a new way of doing things. Mm-hmm. No more doing things the way that they did them. Yeah. Because we didn't even make that choice. We just inherited that and assumed that it was right because of the way that it was indoctrinated into us. We need a new school system. I work at Booker T. Washington High. It's one of the schools. Work at Forest Hills and Crim. Now, if you live in the city of Atlanta, then you know where those are.
I know where they are.
Okay, and you know what they are, too,
Absolutely.
when I talk about those schools. But I focus on Booker T. Washington. Mm-hmm. How can you have a school called Booker T. Washington High School and there's no trade or occupational?
Right.
You know what I mean? And, at least if these boys were if they got to learn how to cut hair, they could take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, we're grown men with college degrees.
Yeah. And
nobody will pay us any money. I want y'all to think about that. We paid a lot of money to get these degrees. Right. Some of us are still paying for them.
Still in debt.
Mm-hmm.
We have to completely adopt a different way of doing everything. Yeah. And we can. That's the
Absolutely.
Thing about it,
Yes, we can.
So
yes, we can. But we can.
I applaud pioneers like yourself. So with what you're doing, what is your intentions? We'll start with you, and then Senator. What are your intentions? What do you want to see when it comes? I know you have anti-bullying. Some of that starts with the home. You know,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
a sense of self-worth, right?
Yes.
So then you're not psychologically projecting how you feel on somebody else about yourself, right?
Right. No.
But what I think is key, right? What are we going to do in the community? What do you want to do with regard to educational reform?
Well, ultimately, I feel that education is such a key part of self-awareness, of self-worth. And I just want to see our children leave Douglas County school system with a sense of self, and also with a purpose, with a focus, with a goal, or with an idea of what they want to be. I want them to feel like, you know what, when I left Douglas County school system, I know what I want to do. I know I can be this. I know nothing is out of my reach. Nothing is out of my grasp. I also want them to know that you start where you are, that you make goals and then you complete those and you make other ones. That's what I was taught. We always try to reach so far above. Start where you are. Conquer that, and then make another goal, and then conquer that one. Make another one, conquer that one. A lot of our children, the 4-year university thing is out of their reach because academically they're like, I'm not ready, you know, or academically they're like, I don't want to do that right after school. Where are the other options? Where are the other focuses? Where are the other highlights? Like, okay, for instance, New Manchester High School has a magnet program in the arts. Are they offering like information for Juilliard? They have a prime art center downtown. It's one of the top schools in Georgia. Do they have information in the Career Center about that? Also, do they offer information on transportation? There's a lot of children whose parents work during the day and they can't afford to give their child a car. How are they going to get to school? We need to give our children everything they need so that when they leave school, they'll be well equipped. That's what I want to do. I want our children to say, you know what, the only person that can stop me and my future and my success is me.
Let's go. I'm with you.
And, you know, you said something in your introduction, and when you said it, he looked at me. With him being in the school board as well, and I'm being a life coach, and when you said that they need a life coach, that sparked a thing. I know he looked at me about it, and I thought it was smart, and I think it's true. I think life coaches should, like you said, got to do things differently. And life coaches, I think, should be in almost all the schools. Because a lot of times kids don't have a clue for one, who they are,
Right.
and what they want to do, and a lot of times they do things because they feel they want to do it for their parents, and
Right.
and then, but that's not really what they want to do or who they are.
Yes.
And so, in order for them to really want to have the determination to do something, and be something better, they gotta be okay with who they are and what they're trying to do.
And they also have to understand what they want to be.
Right.
So that when mom does come and say, well, I want you to be this, they can say, no, this is what I want to be, mom, and this is what it will take to do this. This is what I can earn. This is what I can be in the society or in the community. This is what I can do. They need the life coach to explain that, to go into depth. Look, this is what can happen if you do this.
And even if they don't have the confidence to say it to their parents themselves,
Right.
they can sit,
Because they're not sure.
They're not sure. They can sit with the coach like myself and say, this is what little Johnny wants to do.
Yes.
And this is why he want to do it. And if you project,
Now, how can he do it?
And how can he do it?
Yes.
But if you project what you want him to do, then he's gonna fail because he's not doing what he wants to do, what he's called.
We got to embrace that creativity.
Yes.
embrace
And we
that,
just have to support our children.
Absolutely.
Just whatever they want, as long as you do this, I told my son and my daughter, I have a 22-year-old daughter, Bobby would have been 26 this year, and I told them both, as long as you have a plan, I'm going to support you, but you have to have a plan. It has to be thought out, and I want to see what it's going to do for you. You have to do that research. Hold yourself accountable. Well, I held them accountable for their future, but whatever they needed, they knew they could come to me and get it as a parent. But in the schools, like I teach at Factory Shows, I'm mom from 8 to 4 for these children. And whether I like it or not, that's what it is. And that's what we take on at the school. We love those children. And so whatever we can do to help them, we do. I don't care what it is. These are human beings. There's no black and white when it comes to school. It's all gray. because there's so many different people, there's so many different personalities, so many different characters, so many different circumstances that you have to be able to listen and to help and to be willing to do that. And I think a life coach, because we have the academics, but we don't have the other side, the integrity, the morals, the ethics. That's where the life coach comes in, where they can just solely focus on that. Because I was helping them with that as well, but I had to finish this lesson.
Right.
You see, I had to get the grades in.
Right.
But the life coach, they can come in, and that's their sole purpose. It's just to strengthen and encourage and enrich the minds and the souls of these children so that when they leave, they are well equipped. And like I said, a responsible child will not cause trouble. That is a child with a purpose. You find any child with responsibility, you finding a focused child. They don't have time for all this other stuff because they focus on where they're going.
Good job.
Let me jump in on this. She good. You good. That's because that's the type of level of teamwork that we must develop. But I want to say something that what you said. When I was young, I was one of those people, one of those little kids that looked up to Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton, and those are the images that we saw because on the federal level they have the dollars to be able to put into the media like that. But as I got older and I started to realize my lane or where I was in my identification, I was fortunate enough for my father to be elected to the Georgia General Assembly 13 years ago. And when he became elected, it opened my eyes up to the back seat or the back door of how legislation works and how the dirty parts of it, the happy parts of it, and the parts that you see on the edited version of the news. But what I did is I had the opportunity to learn how important it was to be on this level, because this level is a level that takes effect every 6 months. This level is a level that takes effect that directly affects our funding in it. The federal government is important, but it takes so long. And then one thing I'm going to say about the federal part of it now is people are getting distracted by what's going on in the White House. And then they're forgetting about what's actually going on in the State House, because what's going on in the State House is directly close to your house. So when you're talking about coming up with education overhaul and things like that, then I think we got to get education back to a funding level to where it's supportive. I get pissed off, and I'm going to use that word, I ain't going to use other words. I get pissed off and fired up when we're paying teachers less money in higher poverty areas to do more work. And they're getting frustrated because I hear about teachers every day who leaving the education industry to go and work in other places to make money, and it may not have been motivated by money initially, but they feel left out. And so when we're talking about support, I think support goes all the way around the board. First of all, we need to update our curriculum. Man, we're stuck in the 19-somethings, and it's just like our cell phones. When you get these cell phones, every so often, they're going to send you a message say, update now. We must do our community the same way. We must treat our school system the same way, because these kids are moving so much faster. They have technology at their fingertips. So we got to update our curriculum. Also, Metro Atlanta has the #1 suburban poverty rate in America. More people living below the poverty line in Metro Atlanta than anywhere else in the United States of America. They don't tell you that when they're talking about pitching for Amazon or the Super Bowl or things like that. But if we don't state the facts and face reality, we're going to be playing in a make-believe world. So I'm a realist. I want to be real. So when you're talking about we're paying our teachers based on property taxes and millage rates, and some of the lower millage rate and property taxes area are going to have a higher poverty area, a higher poverty rate. Now you're going to have teachers that are going to be dealing with more issues, and they're going to be allured to, I'm going to go teach somewhere where I'm getting paid more and doing less. Even though it starts out as a passionate part, like what Ms. Monique said, in terms of being passionate about your community, being that mother or that father, for those hours during the day. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I may have one black male teacher coming through school, and I wish I was fortunate to have more, because it would have gone a lot farther than the math or the science or the social studies. It would have gone more towards the imagery. Like what we said earlier about what President Obama did in terms of imagery. I had to go back and forth with somebody at a debate about what they thought he did and what they thought he didn't, when I said the most important thing that the Obamas did was they established that we can be with class. Right. We can act with class. No matter how they come at you, we can continue to carry on and cover ourselves in a classy way.
And to piggyback off of that, and me and him talk about it before, is that white America understood that.
Yeah.
White America, like I said to a couple people, white America is fine with us being entertainers. They fine with us being athletes.
I can't rap or dance.
But what they not fine is people like you, President Obama, people like me and him and you, being that positive image to give these young kids to say, I could do this, I could be this. Because they don't want us to know our true power and true worth. So they want you to the only way you're going to be successful and succeed in this life is to be an entertainer. And once President Obama became president, they are fearful of the fact that the narrative of who we can become changed.
And the power behind it.
And the power behind it was going to change.
But we thought we arrived, so we got to
That's
pick
true.
that ball back up and continue to carry it. The next President Obama may be in the form of Mike Glenn Jr. or a school board representative or a county commissioner or a city councilman or a mayor, but it's the imagery and the integrity and the trust that we got to install back into by being transparent. I want to be I told the church the other day, I said, when you have that support system, you have that level of accountability. So when you leave, when people say, okay, I'm going to vote for you, and they expect you to go out and say to the world, I can't do it by myself.
Right.
We got to band together. School board members need to have their state senator's number directly so we can go visit the school. So when people get to talking about more guns in school, we need to go visit a school and understand that's not going to work.
Right.
That's not going to work.
What's the likelihood of getting y'all to commit to coming tomorrow? And wear plain clothes and have beer or wine or whatever.
I'm down for the wine.
Is it okay? So is it every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday.
Because tomorrow I work at the after school program and we don't get out till 6:15. And
You
since
come late.
oh really?
I got an idea. Why don't we? I mean, I know we can't do this tomorrow, but let's go remote. Come out in our district. Let's set up out in our district somewhere.
We'll go remote whenever you want.
Right.
Yeah, I've got to be here tomorrow, but you can come late.
Okay.
If you don't make it till 7:30.
Okay, then that's fine. Because
but-
I have to. Yeah, I already made the
Because
commitment.
we're on a spiritual wavelength here now. City of South Fulton. I did a show on. Sigmund Freud said this too. That psychotherapy was not for the child; it was for the parent. In the city of South Fulton, there was somebody there who had introduced legislation that the parent should pay for the delinquencies of the child. I don't know.
That was a city policy. Yeah, it was.
Okay, and so it's not so much whether they would actually enact it, but just the idea of it. And so, again, we're alluding to what we talked about with regard to Black Panther, the changing of the guard. Somebody has to break this tradition and say, okay, what we're doing is not working. That's the definition of insanity. It's continuing to do something that's not working. We need our own republic. We need our own state and local government that's good for us. It doesn't have to look like what we've been given. And we really don't have much to lose. The reason I bring that up is because the culmination of everything that they're saying goes back to what we say all the time. Now, with regard to the children, and so for a long time, traditionally, you had second, third, fourth generation blacksmiths and all this, that, and other. The thoughts, from a spiritual standpoint, the thoughts and feelings and the inclinations we have nothing to do with us.
Right.
They were wired into us.
Absolutely.
So if God says, that he gave this man this many talents or whatever, this one, here's the thing, we've all been giving something that we have a natural inclination to do. And God promised us that would be the skill set by which we would be the means to live our life. But when we don't have a parenting model that encourages individuality and creativity, you get where I'm going with this. You know what I mean? And so we need the education for the parents. We need, and we do have to. It's okay to be who you want to be.
Absolutely.
And then we have to tell them that you've got to be bold enough to be who you want to be.
Right.
Yes.
With regard to what do you there's something that, I met a guy who was like the voice for Kermit the Frog on a Muppet. He makes a living. What you think about this? And a very lucrative living.
Yeah.
Being a voice. We all have gifts, and we understand where these gifts come from, and these inclinations aren't yours. They came from somewhere else. this is what it is that you're supposed to do. I know plenty of doctors and attorneys who graduate from Morehouse who are miserable. Yeah. And they're up to the eyeballs in debt, not just from a student loan perspective, but from a standpoint of now that I've achieved this quote-unquote ascribed status or esteemed member of the community, I have to go and get in debt to a certain level to reinforce this.
That's
discouraging. We got some very sick things going on in our community, and we got to be bold enough to speak against it and stop it. You know what, our children, I teach the ASP, and it's a girls' night out class, and I teach them the difference between strength and courage. Because strength is, I can pick up this phone, I'm strong enough. Or strength is even, I can get out the bed and get dressed. But the courage is, what am I going to face? I'm going to still take the risk because I feel it's worth it and I'm worth it. That's the difference between courage and strength. And I think a lot of our children and us as adults, as parents, we need the courage to get up and to let our voices be heard. Mm-hmm. One way is to vote. One way is to let our voices be heard. One way is also to speak up on bullying, to speak up on injustices in the school system, or just whatever they feel as a parent. I think as a community, we have lost the courage to do things because, like you said, and I think when Obama was president, we wanted him to do so much for us when it's our local government entities that do it. Like we have a city council city council members, we have county commissioners, we have a school board, we have mayors, we have senators. So we need to utilize our local government entities to get things done. If you need a street light, you go to the councilman, you go to the county commissioners. If you need something in the school system, you go to the superintendent or the school board. That's what we need to rely on. But I think we've lost that, and I don't know if it's because of the people that are in there. I mean, I know a lot of them, and they're good people. I don't know if it's just that we're scared to speak because we may feel like there's nothing going to be done because that's already programmed in us, that it won't be done because of the area or our demographic, that they don't care about us. But how do you know unless you speak up?
You know what, Miss Monique said something very important. Knowing what the duties of these offices is important, because people come to me and like, hey, can you catch this dog for me, or can you help me get the cat out of the tree? I'm going to help you get the cat out of the tree, but we have entities for that. We have departments for that, and that's where we got to understand what everybody does. And now what I tell people is the Georgia State Senate or the Georgia General Assembly is in session for 40 days out of the year. There are still 325 more days left in the year. That's my opportunity to be back out in the community, supporting my school board, supporting my county commissioners, supporting my city councils and my mayors, because I have 6 cities, one unincorporated, so about 7 cities total in my district. And I touch about 6 House districts, and so that's 6 different mayors, 6 different police chiefs, several different county, different entities, sheriffs. So we got to get out there and provide that support and go extra, but we got to be willing to be humble enough to not say, I'm the senator, let me stand out front. Mm-hmm. No, I'm part of the support system. Mm-hmm. And what we don't know, because we don't know everything, that's when we start pulling on the experts and bringing the experts to the forefront, because they're a community. I'm going to piggyback off my dad. My dad said, son, whenever you're talking to a group of people or whatever, there's always one person in the crowd that's an expert on whatever the topic of. So if we band together with a unity type of thing and a coalition of those experts, now we're getting the feedback directly from the community, from people that know, people that live it. So when we're talking about social work and things like that, we go get a social worker. And by the way, we got to protect our kids. We got that system needs to work. That system needs to get better, because anytime you got a 4-year-old up in Cleveland, Ohio, that is murdered by her mom and her mom's boyfriend, then that's horrific. Because the system failed her at 4 years old. And imagine all the people that the system done locked up for inadequate reasons. But this little girl was failed by the system because the system didn't intervene soon enough. Right. We got to do something about that. That right there brought tears in my eyes. And that right there, it said something that I'm going to fight for. Because I got an 8-year-old daughter. And I ain't even going to begin to use the words that I would do if somebody harmed my child or my 16-year-old, for that matter.
So I know how it feels.
Mine will be 13, and my daughter next month, and I already know.
Absolutely.
So, well, I know how it feels to have your child leave and never come home again.
And so
that's I know exactly how it feels to want your child to be safe.
So I know one of the things I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was talking about how their generation fought for the right to vote, and so she's been voting in every election since she's been 18. Not just the president election, but everything for city, local, state, and federal. She's voted. She has not missed not one election, and so I guess her generation is like really frustrated because they see the results, you know, and we're not going out to vote at all. And so what can we do to inspire our community to go out there and vote and understand why it's important to do it?
Mom is a super voter, by the way. we and that's a real term. Like, super voters are people that vote in every primary, every general. Yeah. They're informed. They're out there. And believe it or not, from my rapport with the older people, and I don't call them seniors, I call them quality residents, because they're quality residents. They've been, and I was schooled by a person who would have been a categorized senior, but she said, no, we're quality residents. So y'all hear that? Quality residents. Yeah. But what I'm hearing from them is they just want to be able to trust the next generation. But they know it's time for us to start embracing the next generation. See, as a young man, people have said, oh, why you running? Don't run, or let the same person stay in. No, I'm knowledgeable. I understand how to work in the legislature, and I'm ambitious. I'm going to get out there. Now it's time for me to show that ambition to some other young man or young woman that may have it. And I don't plan on being in the state Senate for 20 or 30 years. I don't plan on doing that. I plan on working hard for the state of Georgia for several terms. Then I plan on pivoting and going on to the next step, but making sure that I open that door for the next generation, because if we don't start doing that, then we're not turning over the cycle soon enough. And we're not turning over the cycle, we're creating a larger gap in between, you know, the new chain of guard and the old guard. And unfortunately, we got to jump out there and we got to run these races. And we got to be courageous to be able to say, you know what, I don't care who's mad at me. I don't care who says don't run or because of this reason or whatever. I know that God put that fire in me for a reason. Yes. And he gave me this opportunity. He's prepared me for this. I didn't know he was preparing me for this, but he's prepared me for this. But it's not about me. It's about the younger generation, and it's about the whole population, but it's mainly about us being able to embrace the next generation and bring them forth. That's what I'm running for.
All right.
You know what I'm going to tell you? It's a saying, I actually made it up, but that a leader is only as good as the servant inside of him. And so as a leader, we have to be a servant. And I think the voters, I think a lot of them they've lost trust in the people that they voted for. And I don't know why. I mean, I'm speaking as a voter. And the elections that I have gone out and voted for, because I felt that it would make a difference. But I want to tell people that take the risk, because you don't know. You don't know what your voice and your vote can do. It may work. I mean, it is a society, and we live in a country that everything is not as it seems sometimes. Someone says something and maybe they don't do it. That's why we do our research. And we look at the history of that person. What have they done prior, whether it's in politics or just in their everyday life? A lot of people are first in political games or the political party, like myself. I've never really ran for anything, but I'm very passionate about our children's education. So I may not have been in, all the different, meetings and things like that, but I've been in the community. I've been speaking at different schools and churches all over Georgia about self-love and self-worth and education, and how important it is to know your worth and know what you deserve. But you have to know first. You have to learn it. We only know what we learn. A child can only give what they've learned, and so take the risk. Look at the candidates. Go out to the primary election on May 22nd. Get involved. Let your voice be heard, and then you can see whether it will make a difference or not. If you don't try, I would rather live with saying that I voted and it didn't turn out the way I wanted, as opposed to regretting that I never went out and it could have if I did. So I just, have the community just get out and vote and see how it'll work. And I think, like he said, with the new generation coming and people that are running now, I understand with the children. I mean, I've spoken with them. I have an organization called BFAM. I have 12 children that were my son's age, and now they're 25 and 26, and they're doing very well. But I listened to them. I was Mama Monique, and they knew whatever they needed, they can come to me, because I never want what happened to Bobby or even my daughter. I have a 22-year-old daughter that lost her brother when she was 15. That was beat to death. You know, I never want that to happen again, because we lost 5 young men that night, but 4 had a choice. Mm-hmm. So we want to get these children to make different choices, and one way to get their voices heard is to vote. One way is to get out there and to show that they are a part of this community and they matter. So.
And look at her, admire her courage for being able to still have that compassion for those young men that were that did that to her son, you know, and that I admire that big time.
Thank you.
And hey, if you don't believe, then what are you doing? I'm gonna win this election. I'm gonna win this election, and then we're gonna be talking about this for years to come, because we're gonna be talking about this with the next generation that we allowed into the door. That's how
absolutely.
I feel.
Absolutely. There's a lot of apathy when it comes to voting and political participation. And again, I think that what y'all are doing is magnificent, because you're stepping out in the forefront. I had went to a meeting about 2 weeks ago. It was called the Men of Higher Standards meeting, and it was centered around registering black people to vote. And I mean, I do think that's important. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna throw a slight bit of a curveball in this. Now, in 2005, the 40th commemoration of Bloody Sunday went down with Morehouse. It was a field trip to the Edmund Pettus Bridge, commemorating Bloody Sunday for the right to vote. And we saw a lot of footage of German shepherds and water hoses being put on people. And I would never not encourage people to vote. I do encourage them to vote and be politically active. I encourage them to vote more with their money first, though. You see, the people that we're dealing with in this side, Dr. King, before he passed on, has said that he had been trying to everybody knows Dr. King has started to change. And he said he'd been trying to reason with these people, and then he realized that they weren't human beings. The God they gave you has nothing to do with God. They don't really believe in God. Their God is money. And so if you can change things overnight with how you spend your money, that's a whole nother discussion. Mm-hmm. I never despise humble beginnings, so we talk about political participation. Some of the older heads who were heading up the meeting had encouraged, how can we get people out to register to vote? Well, I said, you got to court them. I'm working in Atlanta Public Schools, so we need to, let's stop. Oh, you got to go vote. No. Why don't we do this? Why don't we pool some money together, and whether in Douglasville or wherever, and why don't we start having some barbecues and invite them?
Absolutely.
And just say, let's just spend some time together.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Bring the community back.
Can I know who? Bring one of your buddies. We're gonna have some barbecue here. Let's spend some time together. Mm-hmm. And then when you gain people's respect, they will get behind you politically.
Yes.
We ain't gonna ram that down their throat at first.
Right.
Let's know who they are.
That funding and things like that are very important. And I'm just blessed enough to be able to say that with this campaign, we're trying to do several nice events to where people dress up and they come out, and we're going to give you a 4-course meal and invite you to partake in things of the community for free. And now when you get there, what we're going to do is try to educate you, try to help you understand these platforms of some of these people out here running, or just understand the whole process. If you don't vote for me, then vote for somebody.
Right.
But if you vote for somebody, do your research.
Yes.
Make sure you don't go just get registered, but use your civic duty. But those are those opportunities for us to take these suits off, roll up our sleeves, and have real candid conversation. Now you see the real personality of a person instead of that uptight. Let me be this way,
Let's.
Because I think the whole thing of everybody waiting to the week before, or 2 weeks before, and they go to everybody's churches. I think that's a old way of doing it now. Especially if you try and get.
Again, that's his way. We took that from him.
I was in 3 churches this week, and I've been doing it for the last several months. So I mean, I
and
understand
a lot of
that's the way
community are in churches.
Yeah,
So,
well, people,
a lot of community members go to church.
They want to see. People want to see you in church. I was raised up in church. We used to be in church from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then go home, eat, and then come back and 6 p.m. to 9. We was Pentecostal, so we was in there like,
y'all
man.
was a little bit even further.
I'm trying to figure out if it was announcements, if it was the sermon or the choir, or what had us in there that long.
Well, you know, I said to somebody the other day, I said, you know, the insanity that exists in our community is centered around us constantly being told how bad we are and how sinful we are. And you know that I fell asleep in church one time, and it was like, the deacon said, "Man, you falling asleep in the house of the Lord, boy? You know, after all God's done for you, you're like, God, I'm an awful person."
Bad.
And it's because I can't sit still from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and listen to somebody talking monotone. Yeah. I'm an awful. But see, now this takes the adult mind to understand this, that we've been fed something that ain't right, and it ain't got nothing to do with God. And so that's the beginning of how we change. I told a young lady about, I said, look, if you sit in that car, and that's why I applaud what y'all doing, you getting out on the beat, you sit in your car if it's broke down on the highway. And maybe somebody will pull up on you and help you. Maybe. But you get out and you throw that thing in neutral and start pushing it and see what happens. And that's what we have to be the change that we want to see. Whether it's going to clean up a neighborhood, show up every Saturday with a little trash pickup and start cleaning up the neighborhood by yourself. Don't look for a coalition. And the people, sooner or later, it'll be brothers that'll come out there and say, hey, man, this is guy coming out here. And that's what we got to do. We got to spend some time. We got to stop asking people for stuff. When I talk to these young boys at Atlanta Public Schools, when I want to learn about them, the first thing I do is say, let me tell you about me. And I found that when you get naked in front of people, figuratively speaking, they begin to disarm. We need to stop asking for things before we give things first. And it will happen. It will work. Things will change.
Because I think it's a sense of entitlement, but I don't think it's I don't think it's purposely, or like, I don't think they feel, or like we feel entitled purposely. I think it's just because of things that we have went through. But I also feel like if God woke me up and I can put my feet on the ground and I can get dressed by myself and I have a transportation, I have a car and I have food and I have a roof, then I have everything I need to get out there and do something with my life. And I think we all feel entitled in some point or at some points in our lives, and sometimes things have happened to change those thoughts. Sometimes they don't. But what you said is absolutely correct. No one is going to help us until we help ourselves. And also, just if you get out there with that trash bag and you picking up that trash, even if it's 4 weeks before somebody help you, you still do it. Because believe me, even if no one else sees you, you know you doing it. And that's all that matters. Sometimes we just need to encourage ourselves, strengthen ourselves, know that we're doing it. We don't need somebody else to tell us sometimes. You know, God tells me, you know, get up and do this. So I don't need anyone else. Maybe no one will help me. Maybe 50 people will. Regardless, it's going to get done.
One of the things that me and him had talked about, and something that I guess you guys could consider as well, is the church is a great place to be because you can catch so many people at the same time. But then you can also think about the people who don't go. And so then therefore, the new church that you can reach a lot of people is the barbershops and the beauty salons.
You meet them where they at.
You meet them where they at.
Well, that's what Jesus did. He
came
to the woman at the well. He didn't go to the church.
Well, Jesus said, I don't need to visit the well. The well can take care of themselves. I'm here to visit the sick.
That's it.
So that's what it is. You meet them where they are.
And by well, I meant the drinking well.
Oh, I know the woman at the well. I know that story.
Okay,
where he told her to go get her husband, and he knew she didn't have one. Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, well, it's important. Like, I you know what? I go to the barbershop in Decatur. I've been going there for years. I grew up in Decatur. But the barbershop owner, by the way, he has 7 metro locations, but 4 of them in my district. So I do support my district in that regard. But when I go to the barbershop, these are all grown men, or in the beauty salon on the other side. They're all so focused on what they got going on in their lives and everything. But what I've seen is when I walk in the barbershop, people get political. People want to talk. People want to have a discussion. They want to be included. That makes me feel good because that sets the tone. That means I'm a catalyst for motivating people to want to step outside their normal box. And because I remember the whole thing was, do I sound educated enough? Or do I know what I'm talking about? And I used to feel embarrassed about like wanting to say something up. But I said, man, you know what? I'm a citizen. I'm living in the earth. I'm living in the world. I'm paying bills. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I have a voice. Why am I being quiet? Because I think that the status quo don't agree with what I'm saying, or I think that the status quo has a set. No, man, we talk about everything in the barbershop, but I see those guys and those young women getting very political, and they're comfortable with that. Because that was always taboo. Like, don't talk about politics. Don't talk about religion.
Well,
don't talk about this.
You know why, brother? Because in the barbershop, it ain't no preacher's collars on or nothing, so everybody can be normal. One of the things we do on Tuesdays, we're very relaxed, and I think you'll see that when you come tomorrow. You know, I told some young men, we need to get out of this plantation model of doing things. Abstain, abstain, abstain. You know what I told this young man? I said, you ain't no gangster. And I've told other young men this too. I said, I'm going to tell you why. Because you sagging, instead of saying, oh, y'all need to stop sagging. I'm like, listen, first and foremost, you out here trying to do stuff. You got to run from the police. You can't run. You're not in a good posture that way. If somebody run up on you and want to punch you, to scoop you and slam you, you can't, with your, you know what I'm saying? You're not even in a good fighting posture. If you with a young lady, you can't protect her.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? We need education, and we got to stop what we do. I told my baby, my young daughter, there was a discussion about boys. And I said, you cross her mom? He's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I said, you cross that line with boys? I said, now, there's a lot of bad things that can happen. But I said, I'm going to tell you, I promise you what's going to happen. I said, little boys and little girls don't look at sex the same way. So if you get to deal with boys, one thing I can tell you, I want to prevent it as much as I can, but you're going to get your feelings hurt. And I'll be there to pick up the pieces after. We've got to engage. We've got to educate.
And be transparent.
That's it.
And bring like, not be on that pedestal. Like, we've never done anything. I've done everything you've done and more. That's why I know where you are, and I can help you with where you're going. That's what they have to understand. Our children is that we know. We know, but a lot of times they see us because we want to seem like we're so educated and so knowledgeable, but experience is knowledge. And so if we let them know, look, I've been where you are. That's why I can say, don't do this, or because the risk is this. We need to be transparent. And I think, I know, because through my experience, I know that they will, they open up to you. They become transparent as well when they see, okay, she's not all perfect, and that she did worse than I did. So she definitely understand where I'm coming from, because we all have.
Oh, and they respect you. Yeah. And so they'll communicate with you.
Right.
Fear doesn't make a child a good child. It just makes them afraid of the parent.
Absolutely.
Fear discourages communication. Yes. And what we need is communication. So we need to go about it the respect way. You know?
Ain't it crazy when you start hearing yourself say, I done did everything that you done did. I'm like, man, I'm sounding like my dad. I'm sounding like my grandparents. But that's that wisdom and knowledge that we have that we must pass on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. But I was just going to tell you, and a lot of people don't agree with me when I say this, but I think a parent should be a child's friend. I think they should be the best friend that they ever have in their life, because the child is going to have questions. And who do you want them to go to, you or the streets? Because the question's going to get answered.
That's right.
But who do you want them to answer, or who? And my thing is, going back, because I'm a Christian and I believe in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and we say, what a friend we have in Jesus. Why can't I be that same friend to my child? And I'm not saying not be a disciplinarian and have the authority, because that's established when they're first, in those first years, that you listen to me. So as they get older, you still want them to trust you. So you want them to come to you, and that's a friendship. That's a relationship. Yeah. And you have to be that to your child.
And I agree with you. I'm in my 40s. My brother is 2 years younger than me, and our parents is our closest friends. And my brother, like my father's like me. I don't like the phone, but I'll talk if you call me. My brother, I respect my father enough to say, "Oh, well, you don't like the phone. I don't like the phone. I'm not gonna call you." My brother's gonna call my father 3 times a day. Whatever he got going on, he's gonna call my father. Yeah, because like you said, he'd rather go to my father, rather him talk to him than to go out in the streets and find somebody else to talk to, because he didn't want to talk to him. Or he's not available to talk to him.
The definition of friend has been misconstrued. We thinking of buddies and homies. That's friend uplifts you. A friend supports you in doing good. A friend encourages you. A friend sticks by you in good and helps you and lets you know when you're doing wrong. That's what a friend does.
A friend doesn't
they love
give up on you even when you give up on them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yes, that's what a friend is, and that's what I want to be to my child. That's what I am to my daughter. That's what I was to my son. And they that to me. So we have to be that. And it doesn't take away from being a disciplinarian. It's no either or. Right. And I think that's what we feel, but it's not. It's not. Why can't we be both? Why can't you sit your child down and say, I don't care what you tell me right now, I'm not going to judge you. I just want to help you. Because I'm the one that wants everything for you with you owing me nothing, but you just being happy in your life. That's all I want from you.
Well, God gave us the formula. I mean,
Right.
He led by
Yes,
example.
absolutely.
Real leadership is service. And He
Yes.
said, look, I'm going to forgive you, so you ain't got no excuse not to
Right.
forgive nobody else.
Yes.
Bring that village back.
Right. Your slate is wiped clean.
Yep.
And it don't matter what you do.
Yes.
I don't want you to do that because I don't want you to go through the natural consequence, but it ain't me that did that to you.
Yep.
There's a
Right.
natural consequence associated with that. So,
Exactly.
And even with Jesus when He washed His disciples' feet.
Yes.
Leadership is service.
Yes.
Right.
And anything that presents itself in any type of setting or arena, whether it's a church, whether it's a school, whether it's a job, that is inverse of that, it is you must bow to me and do this because I said so. That doesn't have anything to do with God.
And that's dictatorship.
Right.
Right.
That's not leadership.
Yeah,
You know what I
leadership
mean?
is I'll show you this is how
Yes.
I'm gonna show you this is what we do. I'm gonna be to you what I need you to be to me.
Absolutely.
In a marriage, I said Obama all the time. White women got his vote. They can
Yeah.
say they voted for McCain and Mitt Romney, but the numbers, the overwhelming numbers, by way of victory both times will suggest otherwise based off of their population and voting bloc. You know why? He got up there. Let me show you leadership again. He was teaching them. I ain't never seen a white president do it. And again, I ain't watched as many addresses by all these other white. I never seen them get up there and when they get talking, say, "Hey, look, blah blah blah. I need to address my wife." But this man, every time he got up here, said he's like, "There is somebody who needs that I need to address before I go any further." And he always, that's leadership.
Yes.
That's what a man look like. You know what I mean? Men uplift, they build.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? And a white woman seen him was like, "Oh man, I like him." You know what I mean? We're not chattel property anymore.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is very when we get a hold of these spiritual principles and we start pouring into, they'll give it back.
Yes.
I'm telling you, they won't get enough of it.
So no more separation of church and state. We got to keep all those things. Everything goes hand in hand. I mean, no
All
more.
right, if God is in us, then He's everywhere we go.
Absolutely.
I don't see and we don't have to talk about God. We have to
Show.
we have to
Just
exemplify
show, yes.
God. It's not about
Yes.
talking about it.
It's about actions.
You know what I mean?
Your actions.
We
Through
all
our
educated
actions.
people, right? But if, like I said, if I gotta tell you every time I'm around you that I'm educated, then the school did a horrible job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You should know that by
know
the
that.
way that I talk
Absolutely.
and carry myself. I shouldn't have to
Absolutely.
say it to you.
Yes, sir.
Right.
That is the
And
truth.
one of, I like what you're saying, sorry. One of the things I always say when I use the platform of this show is to inspire, educate, and motivate people to be the best version of themselves, mind, body, and spirit. But also, I'm a very big proponent of black men, and because society and media creates a narrative about black men to make it seem like we are just unintelligent, we don't want to do anything. So any chance I get some black men who are doing great things or striving to do great things, I want to put them on a show to lift them up and empower them to be the best.
Yeah.
So that's why I enjoy having him on the show because we need people like him being seen.
Yes.
I just
Examples.
told Brother Odie Donald, who was just installed as the city of South Fulton's first city manager the other day. Young brother like myself, he about 8 feet tall, seemed like. I was like, well, they said it's a shortage of us somewhere. He was like, well, they just got to come to South Fulton. But it's not about it being a shortage. There's a shortage. It's about us allowing these young men to allow them to have that expression to be able. Man, I talked to some young brothers at South Atlanta High School, which was a feeder school back in the day to places like Thomasville Heights, Thomasville Elementary School, Leela Valley, Four Seasons, Southeast Atlanta, Zone 3, one of the roughest places in the city. But when I walked in this classroom, these young men stood on their feet. They greeted me like they were supposed to. All their pants were on their waist. They spoke, they introduced themselves, and they all had quotes of inspirational quotes, whether it was from W.B. Du Bois or Martin Luther King or Edgar Allan Poe or whoever. They had quotes from people that it just electrified me. It made my day. I was able to be, and they proceeded before I spoke. So what they did is they energized me. They energized me with their intelligence, with their discipline, with their knowledge of knowing where they wanted to go and their willingness to be, led. It was a organization called Duke's Foundation. But what it did is, when they preceded me like that, it allowed me to be open and transparent with them and be real with them. They were touched by me because I didn't have to, even though I didn't have to give them the political spin. Or I didn't have to give them the speech. I talked to them like they needed to be talked to. And I let them know that, look, young brother, y'all ain't going through nothing I hadn't went through. So if I can make it, y'all are far light years ahead of me. Y'all already got a good start. So if we can continue to reach them like that, and I got to throw in the women because I got 2 girls. So I got to make sure these young men are together because they in the world with my daughters, you know. So I think it's important for us to restore that. Y'all hear that? Plug that. But we got to make sure that we restore that, like you say. And I can appreciate you for continuing to highlight something like that because that's motivation to me. It's always a level of humbleness, but that's motivation to me to say, you know what, we got to change that. We got to change that. We got to do better, and we got to grow bigger. We got people like Mr. Hodges, yourself, other pillars of the community that are now you not the way you grabbing that mic. But we gotta continue to hold ourselves up and pick ourselves up in terms of unity, and because these women, boy, they strong. They strong. We see strength in that. That's why I told you last time I did a radio show a couple weeks ago, and I was talking about my dad. As soon as I left out the thing, I got an Instagram hit from my mama. Said, "What about mama?" I said, "Well, you know what? I had to pay them bills. Hi, mom. You know." You know, women are right there at the forefront beside us these days too.
Right.
Yeah. And they've always been. Were you about to play something?
No. Okay.
I agree. And so working with some of these young boys, when you talk about the young boys, that one of the things that I try to always do is, and let me tell you something. Before I started working in Atlanta Public Schools, I had been indoctrinated based off of television to believe that they were something that they're not. And I can testify that these boys are not what people say they are.
No.
And I got to realize, and I said, they lying. We need to stop watching this. Everybody need to stop watching this stuff every day.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And these boys, if you approach them with respect, and I can walk up to any of them, I can put my hands on, you know what I'm saying? And not only will they not respond differently, you know what I'm saying, adversely to me, they will embrace me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because they realize that I am them and the same, and what they you know what? I heard Elijah Muhammad say this a long time ago. I think it's very true, and I can I'm gonna try to make it analogous to this point. You know, sometimes you don't know you need something till you get exposed to it.
Right.
And them boys are starving for attention.
They
are starving for male approval.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? From somebody that looks like them. Mm-hmm. That they, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we play around. I grab them, put them in the headlock and all that. Mm-hmm. And they feel comfortable.
Yeah.
They happy. They know they safe.
Because they know the stem of your actions is love.
That's it.
And that's all. And they can feel that. That's their sixth sense. That's their God-given sixth sense. They know when you're real or not. Believe me, a child can see right through you.
And I said that to him. I said, listen, and that's why we don't need to put up no fronts.
Nope.
It's just like, you know how I said, you know how dogs will bark at some people and they can spiritually sense it. When you real, it's a spiritual thing, and they can feel it.
Yep.
And so I encourage them all the time. I say, you know what being a man is? Being yourself.
Yes.
And not who other people want you to be.
Right.
That's the whole thing, baby. You know what I mean?
I went to speak at a detention center in Marietta, and it was for young men, and it was like from ages, I think 13 to 18. And I told them that your circumstances not define who you are. Right. You are a king that made a mistake. When you get out of here, you make sure that you live like a king. You treat yourself like the king that you are, because that's what you are. And they never heard that before.
Never.
They heard people come in and tell them what they've done wrong and what they can expect in this. Well, expect greatness. How about that? Mm-hmm. We already know the negative. We know the problem. What's the solution? You know, I think that's what we need to focus on with these children. We hear it. We know we know what they can do wrong. We can tell them that all day long. What about telling them what's right or what they're doing right? What about encouraging them to keep going and to keep on the path that they're on? You know, I think they hear so much negative, or they get the look like, oh, and that. Well, what about us? Why don't we reward our children when we go to work and we do well? We want a bonus. Why can't the child have that? It's like we expect them to do good. We expect this from them, but we don't reward them. They don't know how great they are. They only know how great they're not, because that's what we focus on.
Right.
You know, and so why not uplift them?
That's that plantation.
Yeah.
Always finding the bad.
You are not
Yeah.
your circumstance. That does not define you. And I think every child should feel that, whether it's in the home, where they live, demographically, the situation, the issue in the home. We need to talk to them. Those 4 boys that attacked my son, they had issues before they even met Bobby. There's no way you can stomp someone to death and not have an issue, and you never even met them in your life. Bobby was attacked randomly. But they handled the issue wrong because they were never taught how to handle it right. They just handled it the way that they felt was right. They let off anger on an innocent person, and they have to know then that's a crime. And the system is waiting for you. So we have to make different decisions.
I heard a mother. It was a story. I don't know if y'all heard about it. About her son was killed by a young man. I think that he was 14 or something like that. And he killed her son. And she showed up to court when he was sentenced.
Yes. And asked for leniency.
And she said that I'm gonna kill you.
Oh no! So this is another one then.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, and I don't know. She may have asked for leniency, but she said that I was going to kill you, and she started showing up, putting money on his books, visiting.
Okay,
him,
then it is the okay.
and brought him in.
Yes.
And she said, "You remember when I met you? I told you I was going to kill you, and I killed that person, and that's what you remind me of. You know what I mean? And that's. I mean, I just think it's so brave because you understand that this stuff done been put down on you, that we got a bigger problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And too many people, we want to solve problems at the fruit and not at the root. So
right.
when we get into gun violence tomorrow, it's yeah, we can have gun control, but if we don't change the mindset of people.
Where that bill that can't attack guns without mental health.
Right.
Guns ain't shooting people by themselves.
And so now, as I walk in the world, I used to carry guns. I got a bullet wound in my leg right now from when I was younger, toting a gun around. I'm playing around with a 38, hit the back of the hammer, it goes off.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm keeping a gun with me because I had some boys jump on me when I was 18, 19 years old. Yeah. And I said, when I see him, I'm going to shoot him.
Yeah.
Now, and so I lived a life of paranoia for quite a while in my life, of just anger, ready to grow up. People say, oh, he's a pretty boy. I had to fight all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know what that's like.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when I'm talking to these young boys, I tell them, I said, listen, you don't have to be, because their thinking is, they said we had a discussion about the Boondocks. We used it as a literary analysis.
The show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said, well, no, you can't be weak because, if you can't be kind because people will take advantage of you. And I said, you know, they'll think you're weak. I said, no, you can be kind. You can be respectful. You ought not be afraid of anyone.
Yeah.
And those are two totally different things.
Absolutely.
When we preemptively act out of fear, we create bigger problems. Carry guns around. Man, my daughter came stay with me in 2014 for the summer. I put that one gun I had up in my room. I had forgot I had left it up there. But I'm living in a different type of paradise right now, right? You know, so if you are the type of person that think that if you tote around a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail.
Right.
And this is why
we
have to begin to attack the mind and stop consuming things that inundate us with grief and fear and worry all the time.
Right.
Because subconsciously you're taking it in. It's happening. Biblically it says protect your eye and ear gates. You know, so I say that to say this, that with time I learned that, you know what, things are really, and the pen's always mightier than the sword anyway. You know what I mean? Until we attack the mind.
Yep.
And change the mindset. That's where the real root of the problem.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's our job, Kevin.
It's called
like,
proactive.
Yes.
Being proactive.
Yeah.
It's like the fire is like the violence in the schools, you know, the violence in the community.
Right.
And so we can build bricks around which more SRO officers or, you know, which we need, or, you know, other things that will contain a fire, but it doesn't put it out. What puts it out is self-love. Is building the mind. That's the water that you pour on the fire to put it out, because we can build all kind of stuff to try to contain it, but the fire is still brewing up in there. You know what I mean? We need something to put it out totally, and that's where the mind. It's a mindset, absolutely, and that comes back to the self-awareness classes with the life coach, because we can do all these things to prevent, but it's still reactive.
Yeah.
Well, and what if we realize, Kevin, I'm sorry, that in the midst of, until we can medicate, we need to stop taking in and so one of my pushes is we need to stop taking in the things that are controlling the way we think. So
Absolutely.
When we did a show on diamond engagement rings, I had women argue me because they have no real value for the most part monetarily for what we pay for them or go in debt for them for. And I said, well, we can pay for them. If you can pay for it up front, fine, buy it. Don't finance it, though. It's not worth it. You know, don't go in debt for something that doesn't even have the value that it is, because it gives somebody a euphoric intrinsic value. And the woman said, well, no, I've always wanted one since I was a child. I got to have it. I said, no. I said, somebody taught you to want that.
Yes.
You weren't born wanting that. And this is what we're dealing with when we consume this media. It's not real. I told you, I'm in the schools with these boys. That represents maybe 2 to 3% of the population. I'm telling you, the other boys ain't getting no press. I walk on the street on MLK, and a sister walks across the other side of the street when she seeing me coming. And I'm thinking, don't run from me. I'm your protection.
Right. But
you see what I'm saying? That this is what we're being programmed to believe. And if we don't, until we can get some counselors in a school, we have got to tell our people they got to turn the TV off. They got to stop it.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter is second grade, man, and they offer yoga for them. They offer meditation and other holistic treatments and alternative treatments to just the day-to-day stress, and it's free. Well, I'm sure I'm paying for it some type of way through after school, but it's those type of innovative methods that we need to start taking with our kids to learn. Because, man, me personally, you know, I'm a very, very stress-absorbed person. So if I knew how to meditate and take my time and I'm getting better. But if I knew how to work those things and was taught those things at a young age, then it will probably help me through some situations.
My buddy does that. He's been going to different schools and teaching kids how to meditate. And he take pictures of them on Instagram. Yeah, he start he come in before school starts, and they start their day off in meditation.
Absolutely.
And
early young age.
Early young age. And
but I think it'd be effective for every level, because I don't think any
he'll
level is.
But he'll even come back later in the day, and he'll do with the teachers as well.
Yeah.
To help them too. But he said that he noticed that when he gets feedback from the schools, that the kids are more calm, better students,
It's
stuff
a
like
stress
that,
reliever.
because it's a stress reliever. And so, you got me thinking that we got to look outside the box, and now maybe I need to start reaching out to different schools and say, this is what something that needs to be done, because education wise, it doesn't make any sense for them to go through school if they don't know who they are.
Right.
Absolutely.
My ASP class, I have my girls, I gave them each a journal, and I put on calming music, and they have to write for 20 minutes about whatever. And I tell them, I will never read what you write unless you want me to. You write about, I don't care what it is, but you write and you get whatever's on your chest off.
Absolutely.
So that when we start this lesson, you can be open-minded to understand what I'm saying. Because this is the end of the day. They've been through 8 hours of whatever, whether it was good or bad. They need to release that. And so that they can bring something else in. You have to release in order to receive.
Exactly.
They can't keep receiving and receiving when it's all bottled up, something else there. And so I think that's my way of, relieving the stress for them. But I think it's different methods for every child, but it's something that can be capitalized on, that can help and maybe deter violence.
Right.
Just to let it out. Even like you said, the pen is mightier than the sword. Just writing it down will release stress. Those girls are like, oh, okay, now what, Ms. Rivard? Because they feel better. They come in hyper and, and they actually sit and they do it. They are quiet. These are 6th graders mostly. And they are quiet for 20 minutes until the buzzer goes off. You hear a pen drop. And they are writing.
The same way we implement things that are new things into our educational day, we should be implementing that and see how much smoother a day may go by us just taking that time out, not to be too busy, but to focus, like you said, that deep breath and something like that. It don't make your problems go away, but it gives you a calmer mind and a calmer state to be able to try to attack.
Sometimes just seeing a solution brings ease.
Ain't it?
Right.
Because
Just
sometimes you
knowing
just
there
don't
is
see a way.
one.
Seeing just that little light at the end of the tunnel, it brings ease. Like if you have a bill and you don't know how you get the money, once you find it, it's like, even though it doesn't change the world for you, it still brings some type of relief to the stress that you're
If your
feeling.
daddy tell you, I'm gonna send it to you.
Absolutely,
when
yes.
when you got hope, you got options.
Right,
You know
absolutely.
what I'm
It's crazy how when
Yes.
you got hope, but you hadn't got it yet, but you just your
knowing it's
mood go
coming.
different. You like, "Woo, I can eat a steak or something now."
So-
Right, exactly.
So one of the things I want to pick back off of you saying, it's very evident it's a spiritual connection with how everybody's talking today with this. But in people who are listening or watching on Facebook, Instagram, whatever we were watching on YouTube, what were those naysayers saying that you guys are speaking a good game at this present moment, but how do they know they could trust you and you're not like everybody else who's trying to run for public?
I can only show through my actions. I know because I know you're very correct. I mean, people maybe say, well, yeah, she's saying all this right now, or he's saying all this, but the one way we can show is through our actions. And that comes with taking a risk and getting out and voting. And voting for me, Monique Rivard, but if not me, like you said, someone that you've researched and you feel that can make a difference, or the difference that you want for your community or for your school board or for the Senate, or the senator, or whatever change that you're looking at in your community. Get out and vote after you've done the research for what you want in your life or in your environment,
The reason why I think that people are gonna know that I'm different is because I know I'm different, and I know that what I've been through. I know what I've been through, and I know that it's God's grace the reason I'm here. It's nothing but God's grace, because I know that I could have been taken away a long time ago. I know that I could have been dealt a hand a long time ago, but God allowed me to go through things, deal with things, and be a testimony. And if I squander that opportunity not to be transparent and be the testimony that He wants me to be, then it was all in vain. So I know that I'm different, but I'm human. And we all are going to be put in these compromising situations.
Right.
But as long as we maintain that support system around it, the people that vote for me, the people that vote for Miss Monique, the people that vote for anybody need to be there to support them. Yeah. Because anytime you release somebody off, it's going to be a compromising situation. But if you have that support system around you, and I'm being for real now, ain't no point in me sitting here lying or playing around. Like, people don't get put in compromising situations. But if you have that support system with you, then when those compromising situations, it's like that video game. I know all of us are 21, but I remember this video game to where it was like a bar, and the ball was trying to get in. Which game was that? You know what I'm talking about?
I know
the
you're
bar
talking
had to
like
keep
this.
knocking the ball out. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. See,
Yeah.
they don't know what I'm talking about if they millennials.
Exactly. No, they don't.
No.
But
Millennials don't
that's
know.
your support system. That's that support system. It's bouncing that compromising a dart that's coming at you, or it's bouncing those issues that you're going to have to deal with, that when you have a support system, you're guaranteed to stay the course. And when you do fall off a little bit, somebody's to push you up, And now we're doing that as a community. So the reason I know I'm different is because I'm asking for that help, asking for that continued support through the duration. I'm not asking for you to support me during the election and then you don't see me until I'm coming back around. I'm asking you to call me. I'm going to keep my number the same. I'm going to it might be blowing up off the hook, but I'm going to keep it the same. And we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we address everything and we be accessible.
Hold us accountable.
Accountable and accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah, well, I'm not running for office, but I will say
You sure?
this. You can definitely. I'm gonna do what I say I'm gonna do, and I agree with everything you guys said, 100%. I will say this, and I came up with some good spiritual teaching in the last 2 years that resonated with me and helped me to understand, because my peace is tied to me operating within my purpose. And so the way that God has fixed this thing is so that your gift, like you said, it's not for you, it's for everybody else.
Absolutely.
But God wired it in such a way to where you can't be at peace unless you're operating within that gift.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I like having peace.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna continue to do what I gotta do. I don't. If it's me in the forest out here, you know what I mean? That's what I'm gonna do, because I gotta sleep at night.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me different. Is that I gotta sleep at night, and I want to sleep at night. And this spiritual peace I got. I understand why King David said, take everything from me, but don't take this thing we got going on.
Right.
Don't take this Holy Spirit from me.
Yes.
Don't, whatever you do,
Yep.
don't take that from me. And when you get a taste of it, you know what I mean? You ain't gonna
Yes.
never want to let that go.
I know just how you feel. Like I would go, get up to go speak. When I go speak and I tell what happened to Bobby, and I say it in the raw. Like I don't sugarcoat, because they have to know
Right.
what's real. You can't, but before I'm just praying and like, God, I can't do this. I don't want to talk about it. It hurts. I'm going to cry. I'm crying on the way.
That's right.
I'm crying when I get up. I can barely even get in the shower. But when I get there and I feel God's grace over me and I feel his strength and courage in my spirit, and I speak, and then the children come up and they hug me, and then they remember me 2 or 3 years and say, I remember you, Miss Rivard, when you spoke in my school, or the parent. Then it's like God telling me, this is why you got up. Because your
Right.
testimony is not for you, it's for them.
Right.
What you went, or what Bobby went through, is to help other people, not to help
That's
you.
right.
You my servant.
Right.
That's right.
So get up and do it.
And
Because
really-
guess what? If we don't do it, he going to give it to somebody
Yeah.
else. Because God's will shall be done.
That's right. And really, you represent Bobby every time you step out on the floor. You know what I'm saying?
Can I say something? You know what? I'm a confession that because of this political thing that we're in, we get beside ourselves sometimes into realizing the reason why we're really in existence or really here. And when I first started on this journey, it was advised to me not to be spiritual, not to be let it come out, because certain people don't like that, or certain people don't, But I think that it's important, and because I've gotten more comfortable in being around like-minded people and people that will not allow you to hold the spirit down, that allows you to allow it to come out. I appreciate that, because I feel
Yeah,
good
me
when I
too.
do that, because I'm embracing the spirituality part of this journey that I'm on called life. And when I can do that, man, I'm telling you right now as we speak, I'm under attack. I'm under attack by the devil. And I'm under attack on all fronts of my life, because he knows that I'm close. He knows that when I was a franchise player for
Yes.
him and I switched teams, that he can't get me back. Now that I'm so close and I'm being,
Now you want to ring the bell.
now that I'm so
I've been
close,
trying to find that bell all day.
But wait, let me tell you this really quick, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but the devil can throw darts, but he can never stop God's will and his purpose on your life.
And you know what? I believe it, because this level of optimism, this mustard seed that has grown inside of me throughout this campaign has matured me so much, because when I tell you right now, I've been thrown, everything is being thrown at me right now. Attacked on all fronts in terms of family, finance, relationships,
That's right.
communication, the will to know if you want to do this. All of it's been attacked. But you know what? I ain't gonna be stopped right now.
Yes.
And I'm having an out of body experience right now, because I'm stepping outside of my body and I'm looking at myself and I'm telling myself that despite anything that comes my way, we're gonna persevere, we're gonna have endurance, we're gonna make it, because I believe that. And I appreciate y'all for allowing me to do that.
Not a problem. The thing is, when you're under attack like that, that means you're almost there.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times, and we would communicate with each other to keep us encouraged. And we both had situations in the past year that, changed our lives into a certain extent. But what I always tell him is, it happened how it's supposed to happen.
Absolutely.
Because we wasn't doing, but I wasn't doing the way he wanted me to.
Yes.
That's right. Me neither.
And you wasn't either.
He said he wouldn't either.
No, she.
Right.
He's
But see,
Yeah.
because I was in that path, but I had more focus on one part of who I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he wanted me to focus more on this type of stuff and the speaking, and be more focused on the coaching, because he feels that's my truest talent, that's my truest gift.
Yes.
Just to see it give him kind of chills today, because I'm seeing how he's feeling doing this show, and it shows it's a testament to what I do and what he's bringing on to it to make him feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to
Yeah.
be vulnerable, but man, I'm telling you, it almost brings tears to my eyes.
But
because I'm,
vulnerability is
you know,
strength.
Absolutely.
So it makes us feel like it shows it's for good for you, but it also gives me a testament to me that I did what I was supposed to do.
It takes a lot to be vulnerable. It takes strength to be vulnerable.
And we as black men need to see that. We need to
Yeah.
see that from our future leader. We're gonna claim you as that. So we need you to show you. So we need, as black men and the people in general, to need to see. Okay, he's not just somebody who's talking junk. He's a man with vulnerability. Got a lot going on, and he's have a spiritual walk. And you just gotta understand that, and all this, how it happened and how it's going down was meant for this today, how it's supposed to be.
See, vulnerability allows you to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And as a leader and as in the position you're running for, you have to have that empathy, the understanding, so that you can know what to do to help. And vulnerability allows you to jump out of yourself. Selflessness, it allows you to jump out from your shoes into his, so you can say, okay, I understand exactly where he's coming from, and I know what he needs. You see? So vulnerability is strength, and also it's self-awareness.
And the thing is, people who listen to my show, I've said it several times. One of my favorite books that I recommend to everybody is called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And the attack that you're going on right now is the fear and negativity of people outside of you, because they know what's in store if you become senator. Not when you become senator. That's the fear and negativity. So they use the negativity and put on you to try to get you to lower down, because they know that you are the next best thing, and they fear that. And so you gotta stay stronger than that. That's why I guess I know why you came here today, because I had it all confused. I had told him last week, oh no, I can't. We gotta reschedule. I got somebody else gonna be here.
Yeah, I know. I got.
And so then I'm like, she said, no, everybody coming back today. So it worked out how it's supposed to work out, because he knew I was gonna call him.
He hit me up.
And this brother deep. This brother deep.
I knew what I was doing.
Like the abyss over there.
I know what I was doing.
Look, man, I just, you know what I'm saying? I don't write it, man. You know what I'm saying?
So you could just tell the conversations we have on the phone.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this. Vulnerability, the admittance of vulnerability is an act of faith within itself. It's like, okay, what you going to do to me, you're going to do to me.
Right.
I got to put it out here.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that takes a ton of courage. When we sat down, within the first 5 to 10 minutes, I said, this is about to be a good show. I can feel the spirit. I mean, just like that.
Right.
And I looked at you and I was like, okay, what you want to do? You know what I'm saying? What you want me to do? He's like, go boy, because I was supposed to flip you for it. Like,
go forward.
But yeah, I mean, we sat down. It was that pronounced, and so what we're doing is when we start really operating more in the spirit,
absolutely,
then we're not fighting the current anymore. We're really beginning more and more to identify with who we are.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I know what it's like to be under attack. And they said, I heard Joel Osteen say once that the wildebeest is stalked the hardest by the lion when it's about to give birth, because it's at its most vulnerable state.
Most vulnerable state.
And the lion just watches and it knows that.
Right.
And so this is, what did it say? Count it all joy, my brethren, when diverse temptations come upon. These spiritual truths and these principles are so real. You know what I mean? And us coming together and talking and disseminating information and breaking bread is what we need. Because if we don't insulate each other,
right?
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You were talking about that impenetrable wall. You know what I mean? This is serious business, man. And there's some people that's probably listening that need to hear this too.
Man, it's facts. People know me. People that know me, people that don't know me, they can feel that plight. And when I tell you, man, God has sent the warriors on this battlefield with me just over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Just over the last couple of days, in forms that people that are so established in their business have reached out to me and said, you know what, I want to offer my services for you for free. Because he's sending them right now. He's sending them right, and it's so real because it's happening. And although I'm human, so I keep allowing myself to go back into that dark abyss, but it's like those kids that you see when the first time we experienced seeing those kids with the little book bag with the little rope, and the mama had the rope. It's like that. The rope is a little long, but I'm still walking. I'm still being pulled back out into the light. So Hey, I'm telling you, I just thank God
Just
for
don't let go of that road.
I thank God for it. And I tell people all the time, pray for me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Pray for me. Don't just vote for me. Pray for me.
Yeah.
Well, and that's more important. And your support, you got our support. I think you know that. I had told somebody earlier, we were having a discussion somewhere around these realms. See, here's the beautiful thing about it. You know when God is operating is when it don't look right. You know what I'm saying? Because we have, like, logically and cognitively, and some people would argue that the term carnal-minded is somewhat equivocal to this, but logically and cognitively, we have a problem with us. And we know God is operating because we see things in the natural, and we confuse the natural with the supernatural.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so he specializes in the times when things just don't, there's no way that
Rhyme or
even
reason
makes
or anything.
sense.
But
Because
that's why, so the person, when they see it, they know to
who
give
it
God
was.
the glory.
Because he
Absolutely.
wants to be the undisputed
Yes.
champ. He wants it to be no doubt in your
Yes.
mind that in this situation it wasn't nobody but him.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Right. I
He
tell you,
don't even
that's
want
my
you to be able to blame it on nothing else.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I say God is the
yeah.
only one got me out of that bed after everything with Bobby. That's the only way that I was able to bounce back. And now, but what it is, when God deflates you, or he allows you to be deflated, he builds you up to be a warrior for him. But remember, it takes, what do you call it? It takes people coming at you. It takes interference from the enemy. It takes those type of things because you have to build up that strength again.
Yep.
You have to be able to endure. And only circumstances, negative circumstances or attacks is what builds strength.
Yeah, he's
you can't,
brother,
you know,
he is building you up.
Yeah, he's
at
building,
this present moment
absolutely.
because he's preparing you for what you're about to get.
Yeah.
It's not that we're not saying that you're not going to get it. We're saying you're going to get it, and what you're going through at this present moment is he's building your strength up. Because once you get it, it's going to be more of it. But he
telling
wants you to
yeah.
know that he's going to be able to handle it.
I've been told so many things since I said I was going to run for school board. And I mean, at one time I was in tears. I was like, I'm not going to do it. But God was like, yes, you are. And he started opening doors and giving me the strength to endure and to move forward and to look at it this way, and the meditation to look at it, you know, so God will give you what you need when you need it, when it's his will for your life. And always remember that, because I'm telling you, that's what he's done for me.
What's the number one song in the country right now? Drake,
God's plan.
No.
Yeah.
You can't, it's his purpose. It's
Yeah.
not even yours. You think it's yours, but it's his. And
Right.
you just walking it for him. You're his servant.
What do you say? I can't do this on my own.
Can't do nothing on our own.
Yeah, I can't.
So, as we get ready to close it out soon, I want to give ladies first. You know, whatever's on your spirit. First, tell us, you know, again, what you're running for, why you want us to vote for you, and then whatever is on your spirit. It don't gotta be anything about the school board, whatever you want to hear the listeners hear it from you. You got free reign. And then Mike, go next.
Okay, well, my name is Monique Rivard, and I'm running for the Douglas County School System School Board, District 3. And the main thing that I want to be seen done for our school system is safety. That's number one, because before anything, a parent wants their child to be safe. A parent does not want to send their child out anywhere and not be certain if they'll be safe where they are. Also, I want to bring self-awareness courses. I want to start out with the seniors in the career centers, because they're the ones that are about to go out into the real world. And so they need the guidance to be able not just to achieve, but to sustain what they're trying to reach. And I believe that it takes more than just academics in order to do that. I know how it feels to have a child leave the home and not come back. And that's why I'm very passionate about safety. I also know how it feels to have a child chosen randomly by 4 boys that didn't have self-love and self-awareness or self-value. And that's why I'm very passionate about the self-awareness. And to me, everything goes hand in hand. Once they have self-value, the grades will rise. Right now, our graduation rate is 87%. And that's really good, but why not make it the best it can be? Because what about the 13%? What about them? We need to include everyone. To me, if we fail one, then we failed.
Right.
Everyone matters. Each child matters. Everyone. And I think once we focus on that. And I think Trent North is an excellent superintendent. I know his passion. He was in special education. I work in the special education department in a self-contained classroom. So I see children with disabilities that love life, that are so appreciative and grateful. And I think we need to also bring to our children, or to, their awareness that the sky is not just partly cloudy, it's partly sunny. Like, we have to show them that the glass is not half empty, it's half full. To have hope, because that's what will, hope is like so much, because that's what will help them to make the right decisions as well. So I just want to really see our children receive the best education that they can, that we have to give them. And I want to be a part of a school board that can give them that.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's our race. That's my flyer. Yes, we're having a 5K race. Thank you. At Chapel Hill High School. My organization is called BFAM. It stands for Bobby Tillman's Family. And it's on April 21st. It's at Chapel Hill High School, and that's where Bobby graduated from. And all the proceeds that we earn will go towards the Bobby Tillman Scholarship Fund. Mm-hmm. And it will be offered to all graduating high school seniors that are college bound or technical school bound. And what they'll have to do is write a proposal on how they can positively impact their community. And what we do is we'll pick 4 winners, and we'll go to their respective high schools to their senior awards night and award them the check.
Wow.
So we just want everyone to come out and be a part of it. And every cent goes to that scholarship fund. We keep nothing, because we have to walk our talk and show our kids we support them.
I'm going to post it on my page.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank God for Instinct Radio and you guys, and the support system that you have just for this opportunity. When I envisioned running for this seat, I was wondering what my vision was: media, getting the word out. And we had hit a point in this election that I was wondering how it was going to happen. And when I say, won't he do it? He'll give it to you when you need it. And so I just thank God for this opportunity to be able to be running, considering what I've been through in my life and considering where I've came from and the transformation that I've had. And I'm Mike Glanton Jr. I'm running for the Georgia State Senate, District 35. And I'm running because, yes, we can. I'm running because we need to bring that phrase back. We need to, yes, no, we can't, that's out. Yes, we can do it. Yes, we can have better schools. Yes, we can have better infrastructure. Yes, we can defeat whatever is thrown at our communities. Yes, we can reach our kids. Yes, we can do it. And as long as we believe we can do it, and we start stepping out there in the gap of leadership and, providing that visual and that support, that integrity, that loyalty, that transparency, that accountability, that dependability, that accessibility, that relatability, we can go on and go on. As long as we provide that, we're restoring that trust back into the people. And as long as we're restoring that trust back into the people, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. This is a whirlwind. This is awesome to be at this point. I don't even know it. I'm telling you, I don't even realize it right now. But because I'm here, I'm going to be along for the ride, and I'm going to take God's glory, and I'm going to take it everywhere with me. Yeah. So as we continue this journey, we're less than 2 months away from this election, and things about to get hot. And things get hot, we're going to bring the necessary, we're going to bring a cooler, we're going to bring a fan, we're going to bring an air conditioner, we're going to bring whatever we need, because things are about to get hot. And what is about to get hot is going to get fired up, and we're going to get really to a point to where we're going to reach the people, and the people are going to really understand how important it is to be involved. So this campaign is that. This campaign is a campaign of inclusion. This campaign is a campaign of opportunity. For the people that have never had the opportunity to be involved in politics, this campaign is part of that. So I want to let everybody know, no matter what side of town you're on, no matter what part of the country you're in, there's a way you can help. There's always a way you can help. Come across the border, because when you come across the border, we're going to end up coming across your border next. And we're going to end up making waves, not in just District 35, but District 30, 31, everywhere else in the United States of America and the state of Georgia. That's how we're going to change things. So allow our numbers to reflect our passion. Allow our passion to reflect our numbers at that poll and be the change that we want to be. My website is www.mikeglantonjr.com. I'm all over the place. I try to be everywhere, but with God's grace and the strength that he's putting in me, I get tired sometimes, but I'm telling you, I'm getting a resilience from somewhere. and I know where it's coming from. So y'all continue to pray for me. Y'all continue to watch me, support me, vote for me. But most importantly, let's come together in unity and just try to let's change this thing, man. Let's change it.
Absolutely. Mr. Hodges, tell him.
Have I done what you need me to do?
We're going to talk after the show. But that's what I want you to do. You know, everybody know you got your own radio show.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you the chance this time to speak from your heart. So whoever's on your spirit at this present moment, I want you to speak at this present moment.
One, I'm inundated right now. I'm feeling so good, man. You know, obviously when I come here, if you ask me to do something, you know, you're my brother and you support me and I support you. And so I'm never coming because I'm looking to get anything. You know what I mean? I'm always coming to help push what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate
that. You know that. So, but it is a treat, you know, when I come and I can walk away with something. And, you know what I'm saying? We're constantly needing recharging and energizing. And one thing I can say today is that I definitely got that, you know, from your guests. As usual, you do an excellent job at getting great guests, great talent, and it's all of it is in line with the agenda that we push here behind the mics. You know, it's the boots on the ground, the action. And so I admire that about you.
Thank you.
And I congratulate you in all your efforts. I want you to stay, you know, strong and whatnot. And I know that it's very hard. But one thing I can say is that, you know, I heard a young man say this a long time ago. He said that that when people encounter you, they should walk away. You know, and your life, everybody's life should be different because you're here.
Absolutely.
And I feel that I got that from y'all, and I'm very optimistic. I have become not apolitical, but just I've become very frustrated with the system.
Right.
But when I see people here going for state and local, which is one of the things that we push all the time, that the quickest way to change it is on a state and local level. And then I hear about community involvement, and not about what you're going to do in the community, but what you're already doing in the community. You definitely get my support from the platform that I have. And I'm hoping that you will come tomorrow if you can. If you can't, fine. If you know, later or whatever. I think that you'll really enjoy what we're going to do tomorrow as well. I really, really do. And Kevin, will you be here tomorrow?
I gotta work, but
okay,
cool.
But well,
I'll be listening.
I'll be here, and hopefully you feel safe in my care. And
Kevin, well,
and it's some other intelligent minds here.
It'll be a great platform for you guys.
I'm telling you, we're gonna go after it.
Do everything in my power to get back to
Me too.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, even if you can't, I hope you can. And if you do, I still want it to be where it's the three of us, the three heavy. You know, everybody's great on instinct, but you know, me, you, and Regina, and we just do something and have a town hall meeting and have you guys come back and and invite people to come down and actually have that conversation.
Absolutely.
And
Let's spend some time together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because like you said, you know, well, I think what was best about this show, out of all the shows I've done, is that I actually saw the layers get pulled down.
hey,
Yeah.
And right in front of my eyes, you see the layers get pulled down. And I think it might have been the intentions of you guys, but it's what God and the universe wanted at that moment, because he wanted y'all to be, he wanted the listeners and the watchers to see real people.
Yeah.
And he wanted people to fall in love with y'all for who y'all are as people and not what they think you could do for them. Because like you said, if they feel comfortable and relatable to you, then they will have your back. And so I think this is the most authentic version of what y'all could have done. And if it did anything, it would help y'all bring a lot more people to say, okay, I need to learn more about Monique Rivard. I need to learn more about Michael Glenn, because based on the show, they got me intrigued. because not based on what you were saying or what you're going to do for them, but who you were as a person, as a man. Who are you as a woman, as a mother?
Yes.
You know, and so your story is going to attract a lot of people who want to support you, and who you are is going to attract a lot of people. And so I'm just grateful that he used me as the platform to do that.
Thank you so much. Yes, I appreciate it. Yes.
So yeah. So with that being said,
You know,
Go ahead.
I know we can't do it on the air. Have y'all seen that God's Plan video?
we'll do it after.
Yeah. You mind when we shut down? We these last few minutes.
Please and thank you. But
I'll make it up to you tomorrow.
First of all, I want to thank y'all again for
Thank
being on the
you.
show. This has been
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
has been an amazing show.
Such a
Thank you, sir,
blessing.
as usual.
My
I appreciate
colleague
yes,
and
sir.
Big brother.
Yes, sir. I appreciate what you did. You know, you came back with a bunch of energy that helped. And I think sometimes you missing the caller because
I told you he about to run for president.
because
He running for president.
you pulled some things out of people today. So but I say we both did. But so it just
Spirit moved me. It moved me.
it confirms to both of us that what we're doing, we're on the right path. We may not see it at the present moment,
It's hard.
but it's
Oh, it's a little thick at times, right?
What?
but
Like, why
But
are
it's
we doing
always
this?
it'll clear.
but it's gonna
always
clear. And
Yes.
just talking to you gave me another outlook on how I need to see and do some things.
Oh, thank you.
And where like
you.
the school board was not in my radar, but that's something I may need to check into, and I'll probably reach out to you and
Yeah,
see
absolutely.
what I could do, as a coach, because I am a servant leader, and so if a lot of times I always focus on the adults, but I think I need to probably focus on the kids first, and then they are easier to help mold and guide,
Or both.
and both.
Because
you know.
it's never too late
Right,
to help
so-
someone. No one is ever too old to change or feel differently about their
And so
lives.
I'm just honored today that my whole intentions of why I use this platform was used because we got inspired, we got educated by who you guys are, what y'all gonna bring to the table, and we definitely got motivated.
This was therapeutic for me. I mean, it just y'all don't understand. It's helped me.
All right,
Not with the voters, but it helped me.
I'm glad.
That's where the change begins.
I'm
Yes.
glad.
Yeah.
So I want y'all to tune in for next week. Once again, please go out. Those of you in the Georgia, Atlanta area, please go out and vote. No, I can't tell you who to vote for. I'm gonna tell you who I'm going to vote for. And please do that. Just do something, because at the end of the day, if we're going to embrace the whole mantra of what Black Panther did for us, then we gotta be in the game to play.
Right.
And part of playing is going to the courts and going to the vote,
Polls.
polls and vote.
Yes.
Because if we don't vote, then we have nothing to say. Because
Right.
when we don't vote, they're gonna look at the polls and say, well, you know what, these people did not vote. So what their needs are is irrelevant to us. If we want to be relevant, we gotta be part of the program. So with that being said, you have tuned into the Wellness Architect Show. I'm Kevin Thornton. Be blessed, be authentic, be great, be you, and we're out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, pull that
in
video
the
up.
world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.